And say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, first we have the minutes of our last meeting. Are there any corrections or anything to note on that? Having heard none, I'll consider them passed. We'll start with the Community Development Quarterly Report.
Good afternoon. You should have all received the quarterly report for the Community Development Department, and I just handed out the dashboard for the Next Gen Housing and Hart and Homestead, which is further in the packet. It's just a dashboard on where we're at with both of those programs. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
This dashboard, is this going to be with the dashboard we had at executive yesterday in Josh's county executive area on the website?
It is not. The dashboard is actually in the community development section where Next Gen Housing is located and Hart and Homestead.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. You have this for the Hart and Homestead customer experience. Could you speak to the survey a little bit and just take a quick peek?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
The Hart and Homestead, there's this is page.
With the EDWC?
Yes.
Yes.
EDWC. And it says customer experience, and that individuals who participate in this are sent a survey after they close on their home.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about the survey, besides just like these numbers? Can you just give a little narrative synopsis, please?
Oh, of the survey? Yeah, so EDWC sends out a survey after the recipient closes on their home, and it's called the Net Promoter Score. Essentially, how likely is it that they would promote the Hart and Homestead program to others, and there's a Net Promoter Score of 94, which is very high. They've only gotten 18 responses, which is only a 29% response rate, but the scores have been very high. And I know just from the discussions that we have with recipients as they move from working with EDWC, they close on their home, and then my department works with them in doing their earnings component. They've been very happy with the whole process from the application all the way to close with EDWC. Extremely happy with that process.
Thank you. And then too, at the top of the page it says application phase. That 7 withdrew and you have 27 expired?
Yes. So of the 106 applications, individuals can withdraw if they decide that, let's say, an offer fell through, or they decided not to work with a builder. They themselves can withdraw their application. And then as far as the 27 that expired, we allow for individuals to apply for the program and then get awarded the $20,000 down payment, and then they're able to utilize that when they're putting in an offer to purchase or sign a construction contract with a builder, and they have 90 days to complete that. So if they are not able to get offer to purchase on a home and the 90 days expires, then they're in this category. And then if you look down on the third row, the closing phase, the funds available, the $734,000, that is based on that 27 that have expired. Yep.
Are we keeping variables on the individuals who withdraw and expire and looking at those to?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Are we looking at the variables of the people who withdraw or expire? Is there something different maybe that we can do, or?
It typically has to do with the circumstances that are really beyond our control. Them securing the offer to purchase or a construction contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious, looking, of course, at, any things potentially that we could address
Right.
To help improve it. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, the chair would like to recognize Chairman Schleif, sitting off to the side.
I see on your report on the last page the goal of multi-jurisdictional comprehensive plan progress report is shown as off track. Is that the comprehensive plan that's done with sewer PAC every few years, or is it something else, and can you expand on it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it is an update. It's a update report to the county board. So the comprehensive plan is officially revamped and updated every 10 years by state statute. And then every 5 years, we work with the different entities and the different departments within the county. We look at what programs they've initiated, what programs they haven't. Are the goals still on track? Should other goals be added to this? And then there's a report that is provided to the county board. And that report we were hoping to get done by September. But now we'll likely provide that report to the county board either in December or January.
Thank you.
Supervisor Mary.
Thank you, Chair. For a layperson looking at these figures, everything seems to be extremely impressive. Would you tell us, Deb, from your standpoint or from the executive office standpoint, have we met, exceeded, or not met expectations on these projects?
Well, I'll take them separately. For Hart and Homestead, I think we have definitely exceeded expectations. It has been extremely well received, the down payment incentive program. We meet with each one of the recipients as we are going into the earnings phase, and we've only been received by wonderful stories, very appreciative stories. As far as the Next Generation Housing Program goes, I think that has also exceeded expectations, but there just is a lag in, and not, I shouldn't say a lag, but it will definitely take some time to reach that 1,000 homes. Just the cost of development, the cost of land acquisition, and these are things that, we have talked to you before. It just takes a little bit longer to get from, a piece of land all the way to, getting homes closed. So what we have done has been very successful, and it has changed lives. It has put those individuals that were looking for homes into those homes and being able to achieve their American dream of home ownership. But we cannot build these homes fast enough. So,
And reference to the demographics, you show 65 resident and 37 non-resident. I assume, should we make an assumption perhaps that the residents are moving from apartments and so on within the county to new homes, and the non-residents are coming from outside of the county?
are you referring to the Hart and Homestead?
Yes, Hart and Homestead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, those are actually non-residents. So this is a great employment attraction mechanism. And that has actually been holding steady, that 35% non-resident. Those are individuals that live outside the county that are moving into the county.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we will go to USDA Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, 2024 crop prices. Your name, sir?
My name is Mike Berg. I'm with USDA Wildlife Services.
Thank you.
So I don't know, you guys should have all gotten the crop price page in your packet. These prices are a result of a year-long average. So basically September of last year to September of this year. And this is basically a starting point for you guys. You can move them up or down however you feel fit. Most of the time, they hold pretty close to those prices, but like I say, you guys can kind of discuss and move them if you wish. This is what the farmers will get paid out based on compensation for animal damage to their crops in Washington County.
Supervisor Mary?
Yeah, I would defer to Mr. Dornacher looking at these prices. Are we within range of where the current prices are?
My sentiments exactly, actually.
But
Are they realistic?
they're realistic, actually, they were down, but they came up a little bit. As far as corn prices go, alfalfa prices are, I would say, pretty much what I have seen in the paper and stuff like that. In Wisconsin State Farm, they usually got them on the back page there, and that's basically what they are. As far as oats, there isn't that much planted. Soybeans, it's a little higher, but I mean, their price is down right now a little bit from what they were. And wheat too, I mean, wheat is actually, it was higher, but that really dropped here too. It's down a little over about $4.50 now, I think wheat is. But, and they can go back up again too and stuff, but other countries ain't buying our product, and it's a problem.
Okay.
I know I was just talking to the doctor, and the lady was from Ukraine, and they says, and she talked how bad it was over there and stuff, but I mean, they're growing a lot of products there, and China's buying most of it from there. They aren't buying it from us in South America, so that's why our prices are going down some.
These are realistic and practical?
I would say they're pretty close, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. You're the expert on this.
Thank you, Mr. Dornacher. These are grouped together. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask. Do we have these? They got them as A and B. But shouldn't they be just grouped together?
Yeah, I mean, we can just move on to the second one. Yeah.
Okay. So,
One question.
okay, Supervisor Krebs.
At the bottom of the crop price proposal page, it says 90% of crops have been harvested.
Yep.
As of December 1st, 2024.
So years and years ago, we actually set a 90% harvest date of December 1st for the county that was going to be reoccurring, and we just left it as that. And I guess it's kind of a thing that we revisit each year, and if crops are way behind schedule or we're getting weather events that isn't allowing the crops either to be planted or to be harvested by that date, we can always move that. But this year, it's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
With the weather that we're having, I mean, I think they said that close to 90% of the soybeans are harvested in the state.
Yeah.
And corn is, I think 30% of the dry corn is.
I get emails from Ag Statistics, and it said we're 3 weeks ahead of schedule for soybeans this year than we were previous average years. So we're well ahead of schedule on corn and beans.
So
So
by putting the date on this form, though, that's our expected
yeah,
completion date.
Yep.
Really weigh probably too much on.
Right. There should be no concern with that date this year at all.
Okay, thank you.
That date too is just if farmers drag their feet on harvest, then we can kind of step in and say, all right, you're getting significant damage. One of our recommendations is to harvest as soon as possible. Then that kind of would put them in, hopefully get them moving a little bit on harvesting that crop, and we don't end up paying them a huge claim when it was, more than adequate time to get harvested.
Hold it off on the
Right.
field already.
Yep.
And there's always some that drag their feet, they never get done.
Yeah. So we don't want to end up being, paying a huge damage claim way late. That's why that 90% harvest date is there.
Yeah, you need a cutoff date.
Yep.
for us. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So looking for a motion, Mr. Chair, I would move we accept.
So I will accept Supervisor Mary's motion. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Supervisor Pridemore. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And we have it. Thank you, sir.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Just go straight to the next.
All right. So we'll also motion then on the USDA Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service budget for wildlife damage. We'll take that as a separate motion.
Yep. This is it's for the same program, but it's next year's budget. And I guess the number we're actually approving here is, there's two pages, the first and second page. The first page, they're both exactly the same. The first page is how the federal government needs it broken down, and the second page is how the DNR needs it broken down. So that's why there's two pages there. If we just take a look at the first page, the $27,072.87 is the number we're actually approving. We have a federal cost share part of that. That's $3,471.22. So that's already kicked in. There's also $1,250 in there that goes to county for admin costs. So that comes to you guys too. You guys have to request that, but it's money there. That's there for you guys. I don't know. Is there any questions on the budget?
I will take a motion. Motion by Supervisor Krebs, seconded by Supervisor Conrath. Any more discussion, questions? All right, hearing none, I will ask for a vote. All signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to 2024 Resolution Grant Application, Wisconsin Department of Transportation. As you may recall, this is the one last month where we postponed it for a month because it wasn't quite ready. Apparently there is a little bit of a land issue is what we're trying to work through. So I'm going to ask if I can get a motion to postpone once again. Motion by Supervisor Krebs to postpone, and seconded by Supervisor Pridemore. All in favor, signify, or sure, any discussion on that? All good? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And we will postpone Resolution Grant Application, Wisconsin Department of Transportation to next month. Okay, I'm going to do things a little bit differently here for this next item, the resolution adopting the Heritage Trails Mountain Bike Plan. First, I will have Logan present to all the people here and this committee the plan itself, and then we'll talk about it.
Good evening, everyone. I don't really have a formal presentation of this plan. We saw it back in, it was a couple months ago, we saw this plan here at this committee where we came back and had to make some revisions to it. You all have seen this in your packet, the revised version, which is what our final draft is. We worked with our leaders in the disc golf community to kind of tailor to some of their needs at the park or future potential needs. So we modified some of the trails to go around areas that they might want to use in the future and some of their existing trails. We've put a lot of time and thought into this document. We have an ongoing conversation with Slinger Fire Department on improving our safety measures out at the park. We just put in a new helicopter landing area that's designated out there. So really, I'm just going to take some questions and, yeah.
Okay, so we'll have questions a little later on this.
Okay, that's
Okay.
kind of where I thought you were going to go with
Yeah.
this, but
So as this committee prepares to take up 2024 resolution to adopt the Heritage Trails Mountain Bike Plan, I note that there are several members of the public who would like to be heard on this issue. Tonight's meeting is a business meeting of the Land Use and Planning Committee and not a public hearing. Typically, the public is not permitted to speak during our business meetings. However, Section 15-6S, the public may be permitted to speak if the committee so allows. I propose this evening that those in attendance who would like to speak be permitted to do so, and that we implement rules similar to those of a public hearing to govern public comment. That means that those who wish to speak will do so at the podium into the mic, may make a statement no longer than 2 minutes, that the committee and the county staff not entertain questions. At the conclusion of the public comment portion of the meeting, the committee will entertain a motion to consider the resolution and will then engage in debate and an eventual vote. Remarks must be respectful and adhere to the rules of decorum. Remarks off topic will be ruled out of order and disallowed. Members of the county board in attendance tonight may speak during the period of committee discussion and debate, not while the people are speaking. Are there any objections to this plan? Okay, if none, we will proceed with public comment. But I would again say to the committee here today, we do not want to shake our heads, gesture, make a face. We're here to listen and hear what the people have to say and allow them to speak their mind. And for the people, please don't ask any questions of the committee because any question will be considered rhetorical. We will not answer any questions. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to listen to what you have to say, present your evidence. Okay, would anybody like to come up and speak? Please say your name. Yes, sir, come on up.
Hi.
Please state your name into the mic and you get 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matt Weege. I'm a Washington County resident and a mountain bike enthusiast. I heartily support the Heritage Mountain Bike Trail Plan. The growth and popularity of the trail has been phenomenal. Per statistics provided by TrailForks, the number of trail check-ins at Heritage has gone from 5 in 2021 to over 10,000 in 2024. Many of the riders I meet enjoying the trails come from outside of southeastern Wisconsin, as evidenced by the many out-of-state plates in the lot. The Heritage trails are not only for expert riders. I have personally seen toddlers on balance bikes enjoying the Fraggle Rocks beginner trail, youth mountain bike teams practice at Heritage, and most satisfying of all, I've seen an adaptive rider enjoying the facilities at Heritage Parks. The Heritage mountain bike trails are a jewel that have enhanced the quality of life in southeast Wisconsin and beyond. I trust that this committee will vote to approve the plan so many more people can discover and enjoy the beauty of Washington County, Wisconsin. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, who'd like to be stood up and recognized to speak? Please step up to the microphone. Please state your name and 2 minutes will start.
My name is Lynette Garbish. I'm a neighbor to the park. I am surrounded by this park. I have sent emails out to just about everybody in this room, many emails, regarding the life here. I was not prepared to speak tonight. I did not know that I was able to speak tonight. And if there was revisions that were sent out, I did not receive them. So I am only going on the things from the past and the proposed trail that was from June. The encroachment of not only this park, but this bike trail on my life going forward. There's ordinances. My peace is completely shattered. I hear people in my house screaming, yelling. Once I had a death threat because I asked people to please be quiet right behind my house. Okay. I was injured 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago in April, in my horse barn on a Sunday afternoon, under my horse, trimming the feet, things I've done for years. There's been horses on that property since I've been 13 years old. This is a life and death matter for anybody coming on my property with animals, be it a professional, just anybody, because horses are big animals, and if they spook, they can get hurt. Regardless of the maintenance efforts to quiet things, one thing going on 200 feet away from my barn, which is the closest trail, it doesn't matter with the maintenance people, great, they've done a really great job, but it's still micromanaging my life when I cannot do something. This injury that I'm incurred is ongoing. I'm $7,000 into outpay out of my own pocket for it. What's next? My death? Injury to someone else of which I am liable for? And I can't go forward and do the things on my property that I want to do in my life. So my peace is gone. It's just been totally earth-shattering for me to have this bike trail there. And I've asked for the trail to be moved, the one behind my house, which is the most disruptive, and anything else that comes further, just to how it's going to interrupt my land, water flow, et cetera. Things that need to be looked into, and I've asked for a 300 setback for that, to give me peace, protect my land, protect my property.
Okay, your time has expired.
Thank
you. All right. Anybody else would like to come up and speak? Now's the time. Please come up, state your name. Your 2 minutes will start. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Jansen. I live in Mequon, Wisconsin. I visited Heritage Trails since they've been developed, and I frequent there 1 to 2 times a week with my family. We're all beginner, intermediate riders, and we have a great time there. I'm in Facebook groups that are all across the Midwest, and Heritage frequently comes up. It's becoming, like the other gentleman said, a destination for people to come, and it's bringing, for sure, money into the county. As when we're done riding, oftentimes people are going out to eat, stopping at the Quick Trips, buying things in the county that they normally wouldn't even be in Washington County. So it's just been a really positive place for my family to visit. When I'm there, I see people respecting staying on the trails. I don't hear excessive noise except for the sounds of bike wheels just crunching leaves or rocks or twigs. It's super peaceful to just ride your bike, and also sometimes see disc golfers, people picnicking. It really is a wonderful place to visit, and I would fully support the passing of the mountain bike trail plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm all about that open government and people being heard. So again, this is your chance to speak. If you have a notion you'd like to say something, come on up, sir. Please state your name and the 2 minutes will start.
Thank you. My name is Aaron Aratunian. I'm a Waukesha County resident. I live in Oconomowoc, so good 42 minutes from Heritage Trails. Learned about the trails about a year and a half ago. My son, who's 15, is a big enthusiast. We've gone a lot to Heritage Trails. He's brought friends. They've used the trails as opportunities to improve their skills, which has been really great to see. The gain of confidence of some of the youth. I'm a former NICA coach. NICA is National Interscholastic Cycling Association. That's some of the youth teams that were mentioned previously. I know there are multiple teams that practice at Heritage, including the team that I helped coach for the last 2 years, which is Lake Country Composite. And I know they really enjoy the trails as well. A lot of youth development happens through that those sort of initiatives, and those are all volunteer driven. So I'm a big fan of the trails and their use, and how I can see that they're definitely supporting improvements in the lives of the people that use them. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else care to speak? Yes, sir. Come on up. Please state your name, and your timer will start once you do.
My name is Mike Vance, Grafton, Wisconsin. I am one of the volunteers that works and helps out maintain and work on the trails. And I think some of the participants that spoke before me summed it up very well. I would like to say, though, being there 5, 6, 7 days a week, I have an opportunity to talk to tens, hundreds of different people and talk to them about their experience. And I'm continually blown away with the response of joy and gratitude and just this. You can tell when someone's passionate about something. You can tell when they're doing something that means the world to them with the smiles and the comments and the appreciation. So being able to see that from hundreds of riders all the time, the riders that drive past their local trails to come to our trail system is really a compliment. And I can't say enough about the opportunity to provide this mountain bike environment that it's different than other places. It's a special place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. All right, anybody else? Come on up, please. Please state your name, and the timer will start when you do.
My name is Christopher Volkman. I'm a Grafton resident, but I'm a former Slinger High School graduate. And in my time in cross country back in those days, which is far too long now, but it's been great to see that park be utilized better than it has been. Going to see my son at cross country meets in the past, it was unkempt. There was the soccer goals that were just kind of rusting away there. It seemed very underutilized. So now, to go there, I'm there a couple times, certainly a few times a month. And to see the community that has grown around it, as you've already heard from the other people that have spoken, you've got people of all ages riding there, and it is a great community, and it's great to see that park be utilized in a much better way. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? One more time. Last call. All right, I will now close the public comment portion of the meeting, and I will recall Logan. And I will now accept motion on this item. Motion by Pamela Conras, seconded by Tina Pridemore, and now we'll discuss. So we have some questions. Supervisor Mary.
Thank you, Logan. I do have some questions. I'm assuming, having read through this, that we've had a negotiation, an agreement, everything between the disc golfers and the mountain train, the bike trails, and everybody's on board with this. Is that correct?
That is correct. In this version that was in the packet that was sent to the committee, Tim Nelson, who is the lead disc golf volunteer, we actually have visuals from him in here. He came to the discussion table with Tom Hartman from Metro and myself, and Dennis was there, and Jamie, and we kind of hashed out ways that would best go around their disc golf course. Metro was open to that, how we can all participate safely in the respective activities out at the park. And then even stayed clear of some areas that potentially in the future could become areas where additional disc golf holes could be put in if they choose to be. So we did work with them, yes.
All right.
And I'd just like to add to that, too. I went out and met with Tim. We disc golfed 9 holes, and then I went out with Tom, and we rode dirt waves together. And we talked, and I will say this, Tim really put a lot of thought into helping mountain bike trails be developed around the disc holes, and he came actually with his own drawings, and I mean, really was outstanding in working with Tom from the mountain bikers, and I just want to kind of commend that because I really thought he went above and beyond to try and work together.
Absolutely.
And I really think that was an important notice. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Another question, Logan. you look back 5 years ago, it really didn't have anything, but now we have literally tens of thousands of people coming to the park. At what point in time do we reach a capacity in terms of usage on the trails as well as parking? And what's our timetable regarding getting some additional toilets there, some changing rooms, and so on?
So, as to my knowledge, we have not had a capacity issue, meaning we, filled the parking lot and people had to start parking on the road and there turned into be a traffic problem. That has not occurred yet. That is definitely something that we are cognizant of moving forward. If this plan is approved, once these phases get implemented, it's anticipated that this is going to grow, and that is something we're going to have to look at in the future. Whether it's putting in an additional gravel parking area or maybe expanding the size of the roadways we have coming in and out to allow for two-way traffic and parking on the side. It's definitely something that, I've worked with our sheriff's department before on traffic control plans, especially for our cross-country meets that happen out there. Those are really big events that fill the parking lot. And I'm confident that we could work with them to come up with a plan if we get to that point in popularity at this park. Regarding your second question, we don't directly address that, but we do cite this as a future issue in the park, is the restroom facility. Right now in our 2050 plan, a fully, flushable toilet facility is not in our 2050 plan. It's something that, if we got enough public support for moving forward, we definitely would look into it. We'd probably need to work on, grant funding for that or funding throughout the mountain bike community to put that in, just because it's such a huge expense. I mean, we're looking at a facility that's probably at least $500,000. There are alternatives to that. We can look at putting in, there's double stall pit toilet style facilities that all come prefabricated. We don't have to worry about, water sources at that park, so there'd be a lot of freedom with where we could put a facility like that, and then you just have to have it serviced regularly by the same company that services your portable toilets too, and our staff would just have to clean them because they'd be a permanent facility. I think that's more of a likely option in the near future, but it is something that I've talked to Tom from Metro about, and I'd like to see that move forward, within the next few years if we can.
With your permission, Chair, one more question. Do we look upon the usage at the park at this point in time such that it has become I guess we would say, a cost-neutral situation, that the income for the park attendance is outweighing the cost to maintain everything, or are we running a deficit? Are we running a profit? What's the status on that?
I haven't run that specific analogy out there. Our parks, it's hard to track specific daily passes now to each park. That when people purchase a park pass, they can select which one they're visiting. And, then we kind of use how that's broken out overall in a percentage compared to our other parks of the total number. So then we take our annual passes, divide it amongst them appropriately. I can tell you that Heritage Trails has went from our lowest park pass sale park to now our highest. So as far as our operation out there, I haven't specifically looked into that. I would think that, if you factor in, really right now we're just, clearing trees that fall on the trail, the walking trails. We do help out with the disc golf course. We mow it. If they have trees come down or need mulch in places or traffic bond, we do put that out there. But I would assume that it's pretty close to either being neutral or we are actually profiting if you broke that down park by park. But again, I'd have to do a lot more digging to find out actual numbers on that. That would be accurate. That I'd feel would be accurate.
Your gut feel is neutral or profitable?
Yes.
In that range?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Supervisor Pridemore.
I have one question. It's from my doctor, and he was on the trails, and he loved it. He had no idea, Washington County had these trails. He questioned, were there markers? He didn't notice any markers. Are there markers on those trails for safety reason?
What kind of markers? Because
like in case somebody was injured, like, well, I'm at, red 1, 2, 3, or whatever area.
Yes, there are. They call them carcinite markers. They're kind of like a flimsy plastic material stake that goes in the ground.
Okay.
And there will be a sticker on there. It says HER, and then it has a number underneath it. And so those correspond, those have all been GPSed. Those markers have been given to Slinger Fire Department and our Sheriff's Department so that when somebody is injured, they can reference that number and our first responders can find them as quickly as possible. Additionally, at our trailhead, we also have signage for an app. It's called What 3 Words. Slinger FD actually showed me that app. And it's universally accepted by first responders, and people can go on there, and it's actually like a grid, and you can give a number of what grid you're in, and they can come find you that way as well.
Nice. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Supervisor Conrath.
Thank you, Chair. And first, too, thank you, Logan, for discussing the disc golfers' input, because that was a concern, too, of constituents and an individual, too, who used to bike it and now just helps because of whatever life injuries and things.
Yep.
Excuse me, Supervisor Conrad, could you get a little closer to that microphone that's sitting there?
Oh, sure.
That one right there. There you go.
All right.
They're having a hard time hearing us online.
But yeah, thank you, because I was concerned about the disc golfers' voice, because there's some concern from constituents that it's, being kind of taken over and being more exclusive. Bikers Park, and can we find a little bit maybe better balance? I'm glad they were at the table. But then my questions, you say you've made some adjustments. It's hard to tell drawing wise versus walking out there to see potential adjustments. Could you speak to those? Specifically to like the Black Flow Trail, because that's the one that is closest to. And our constituents are citizens who have concerns.
Yep. All right. So we're going to start with, you're talking in that far northern quadrant. You want to talk about those trails, right?
Correct. Thank you.
Yep. So if you start on page 14, that Black Flow Trail that kind of starts on the northeast corner and runs west and then follows it down south, there was no change to that specific trail in this plan. It's meant to be a return to the Double Dragon Trail that's out there. And hold on, let me get to the... It's hard to tell. If you look at page 21, you have in yellow are all of the new proposed trails at the park. And in green is the existing trails, and these have all been walked and GPSed. So again, looking in that north quadrant, you can kind of tell where the proposed new Black Flow Trail is. It goes from the northeast corner, heads west, and then heads south, and it's meant to connect up with the existing, which in this case is green, but the Double Dragon Trail that is out there. So that's the first one in that northern quadrant. And then we get to what we're calling phase 4 and the black single track. Again, you'll see in that northern section. And once again, just like the other one that we just viewed, this is meant to connect with the existing Double Dragon Trail. And then, you can reference and see on page...
Do you have a page reference for that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Page 19.
19, all right.
Sorry about that. And so you see that in it as a standalone object on page 19. If you turn to page 21, you can see how that's incorporated into the full plan, where the existing Double Dragon Trail is, which is in green. And as you'll notice, the yellow sections have all been, the proposed build is west or away from the landowner's area of concern compared to where the existing Double Dragon Trail is. So nothing was built further to the east, or is proposed to be built further to the east in that northern quadrant alone. And the black trail on page 19, and maybe I should have added the original plan because it's hard to tell here, but this is one of the areas that we compromised with disc golf on. Originally, that trail actually dipped down to the south and became closely intertwined to where the existing disc golf holes are, which are in white on this. And that area was an area that, the disc golf community had said, well, hey, eventually we might want to expand. This would be the area that would make sense for us to expand into. Can we not build trails south of the existing walking trails in this area? So this black trail is going to stay north of the existing walking trails. The disc golf community, if there becomes a time where they want to expand, can expand in that area and not interfere with the mountain bike trail, that black one, that if it gets built. So, and that's just, if you turn to page 20, there's kind of a zoomed in version of the kind of yellow lines and arrows are existing disc golf holes. The red ones are what would be proposed in the future. And then you'll see that green hiking trail on the northern boundary of that. The proposed Phase 4 black trail would go to the north of those green trails, so they'd stay out of the area that disc golf may expand into in the future. So that was one of those compromising points.
And one thing I just want to add to Logan's presentation too, speaking with Tom, the mountain bike, one of the things that this plan is not meant to be like it's all going to happen next year.
Correct.
It's meant to be phased in, so there'll be at times we may do one particular project, next year do another. There might be a couple that might go on at one time, but this is not meant to be like this is the build out starting next year. It's a phased in, keep it fresh kind of thing from what he told me. Every year, mountain bikers like to see something new, something fresh. And so that's where, where this plan is just like a longer term type of idea. And I would say, however, I did put in a word that I would like to see the youth skills area worked on first. Because I think that will lead to safety, and that will help if you know how to utilize the bike properly over the obstacles. I think that will be a huge help.
Absolutely, and that is, that's also Metro's understanding too. They want to get that done, and that's in what we're calling Phase 2. Phase 1 is the existing, what's already been built. Phase 2, which is what's starting in this plan, that's the first item on the list is. Well, second item. First item is finish what was already started. Second is youth skills area.
Yeah.
Supervisor Conrath?
I'm sorry. This, we just, this was sent out to us Tuesday night. I just was able to see it yesterday. I was done prepping and things for this meeting Wednesday or Monday evening myself. So I'm still just trying to figure this out. I do support the things for the skills, youth building. I don't see a concern with that, but really, we have to remember too that our constituents' concerns, and I'm a little concerned about that black trail. Really don't want expansion, but what about how did you said that you changed it a little bit, and I'm sorry, I still didn't quite follow you how that black trail was changed in that north section, that goes close to Sherman Road and one to the initial proposed expansion. It would have looked into one of our citizens' bedrooms. From this one point on a hill, you could see, directly into their master bedroom. And so I'm hoping that got addressed and changed. I can't tell if it did by looking at this map and not, walking.
Well, so these trails are, these were, GPS walk. Nothing is exact. You know, they're subject to movement in these when it comes to the trail building phase. But going back to your original question of how it was changed, on page 19, this black trail in particular had been further to the south. There was a section that was further to the south that looped around the disc golf course, and that is what we took out of the plan from the original that was brought to you guys a few months ago.
But then what
And
about,
then-
so you addressed the disc golfers, what about the citizens who own land around that abuts
So
pretty close to the...
when it comes to the landowner and, you know, property boundaries and how far we need to stay away, when we had the International Bicycling Association out here, which is the standard in mountain bike trail construction, you know, the standard that is recognized by them is only 5 feet. We said, okay, we don't want to get that close. We're going to have at least a 20-foot, and our goal is to try to stay 50 feet off. But I know there's been, you know, the number of, we want a 300-foot buffer from our property boundary. Well, if you look at this map and you see it's, you know, a cross shape, you could literally never build anything in here. You could never build anything in here, and you could never build anything in here if you abided by the 300-foot buffer. So that's just unrealistic to say, okay, we're never going to put anything in these areas. And so that is why we, you know, have proposed the trail plan as is. And I also think it'd probably be a little unfair if we said, okay, we can allow, you know, disc golf to be in this area, but not mountain, you know, they don't have to have a 300-foot buffer, but our mountain bike trails do have to have a 300-foot buffer. I don't know that that's right. Same thing with walking. You know, they're not motorized bikes. So that's why we have them where we do.
Any other questions? Supervisor Krebs?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I did not see in this is reference to, is there any type of a memorandum between the county and Metro for actually doing this construction or the maintenance of it, of these trails? How does that relationship exist or look currently?
If you turn to...
Are we looking at the older resolutions towards the end of it?
Volunteer waiver. It's piggybacking off of, I think, Appendix B. So we signed a memorandum of understanding. It starts on page 26 and goes through page 31, and I believe it was 3 or 5 years. It was signed in April of 2022 by both the county and Metro. And I want to say it was 3 years, so that's up next year to be renewed.
Okay. From when we did our tour of the trails and stuff, what stuck out to me was in looking at some of the cost estimates in these phases, the amount of money that is being invested into this. Not trying to be a pessimist, but everything comes to an end at some point. So I want to make sure that the county is planning for a point, if these trails don't exist there, what's it going to take to restore it to what it was originally? You know, as far as regrading efforts, stuff like that. Not having read that very fine print of this memorandum in the back here, I don't know the answer to that, but that was just something that I would like to make sure is a conversation that's ongoing with Metro before we get to phase 4, you know, the full build out and stuff like that. So that's just more of a concern, not really germane to the proposed phases. I don't really have much issue with those. I would offer up some of the advice or feelings that I would like to focus more on some of the beginner stuff to help with training, and obviously to any of the access trails and stuff like that, that the Slinger Fire has really been pushing for and asking for. So
Yes, absolutely. And we've been working with Slinger Fire Department on this. I know it's an ongoing discussion. I know, we've had meetings on site. I know Dave's been meeting with the chief on the funding issue, and so we're continually working towards that. And Slinger FD is going to be involved in this process all the way through, no matter if it's the youth skills area or a more advanced trail, making sure that there is areas that they can access efficiently when it comes to an operation.
Sure, yeah, and I see there, some of those are built into the phases and stuff. So just making sure within the phase, those are kind of the top of the list before.
Yeah, and those, some of those are going to have to get added in too, right? Like, we haven't. When we flag out a new trail for construction, we're going to have to bring in Slinger and say, okay, what's our best access route here? Can we piggyback off of an existing one? Where does it need to go? And figure that into the building phase, especially in some of these that are in areas that have more terrain. That's where it's really important.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Conrad?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Logan, for all your work on this. Obviously, you're trying to work with all the key stakeholders in Slinger Fire Department, especially after that Flight for Life event too, and the number of calls. I was recently on the town of Polk, is most of my district, and they presented to about a number of calls at Heritage Park, and years ago it would be like maybe one every 3 years.
Yep.
And then this, last year I think it's been like over a dozen.
I think there were 13 in 2023, right?
Yeah. But so that, safety, I think really safety should be our number one concern here. Building the skills, I support that, but then we also have to, do some balancing and listen to our constituents too. And, I'll support everything except for that, expansion of that black trail that affects our constituents and their concerns. And I'd like to read to the town of Polk chairman sent me a message that I'd like to be his voice at the table. It says, I question why an outside group is benefiting from a Washington County park at the expense of locals and added time from fire and rescue services without them paying for these services, speaking of the fire and rescue. I realize the county is looking at the revenue stream, but not sure it should be, all about money, and then really that, expanding the park even further, maybe, have we plateaued? Should we really, we should, be a little bit careful about, continued expansion. And that's what I'm hearing, not just from constituents who live right around that area, but beyond.
So Albert called me after he sent that too, and we talked about this. I wouldn't say that, Metro Mountain Bikers is a 501c3. They're not out here making money on this venture. Their volunteers pour thousands of hours into this and tens of thousands of their own dollars to bring this amenity to our park system. And the other aspect of this, I know there are some people that are focused on, the money aspect of this, but really when we look at what is one of the main fundamental responsibilities of a county park system, and that is to provide outdoor recreational opportunities for both county residents and residents outside of the county. And this is an activity that promotes, a healthy living lifestyle. These bikers aren't out there, drinking a bunch of beer or anything like that, riding their bikes. They're not, doing dope, smoking cigarettes. They're out there doing a physical activity and staying in shape. It's, they're not motorized bikes. They're not guns that they're shooting off out there being loud. So I think we need to, take that into perspective too. We're providing a space for people to, recreate outdoors in a healthy activity, in a healthy environment. And I think that's really, COVID really brought that into light. You saw a boom, in the RV industry, fishing, hunting, people were forced to be outside, and they're like, oh, we kind of like this. And there's a need for more outdoor space for people to recreate in. So while we do have to be conscious of our growth and managing the success, that's definitely something we are aware of. I just don't know that we need to say, okay, we're going to halt this. We got a really good thing going. I think that would be a disservice to the citizens of the county who enjoy this amenity, and those outside of the county as well. But I appreciate that conversation, and I did talk to Albert for quite a while about this. Him and I have spoken several times on it too. So.
Okay, thank you. And like I said too, I think safety should be number one. So obviously those fire lanes and things, where the training addition.
Oh, the train. Yep.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. The blue one, since you worked with the disc golfers on that, but my concern still is adding to that that north corner one. And so like if I would not want to support that one particular addition, how would I go about wanting that maybe eliminated or paused or?
Then I would suggest you can make a motion to try and get a second, or you can be part of the motion to break it to the full board, simply as a pass-through where you might have more support, and do it at that time. So really up to you.
All right, we have to wait till we're done. Other people
Motion
questions?
right now.
Okay. Yeah, I do motion to eliminate expansion of, I think it's that Black Trail?
It would be Phase 4 Black Single Track.
Is it Black Flow Trail?
On page 18, Black Single Track.
Black Single Track.
Well, there's two up in that northern section. Are you talking both?
Yeah, any expansion up in that northern section.
Okay, so yes, I'm sorry. It would be on page 15, the black flow trail, and then on page 19, the black single track. Or I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the motions work, but I don't know if you can.
So this will be a motion to amend the plan. Okay.
Is the language going to be exclude any new trail development in the northern?
I don't think you could do anything that broad. I
Okay.
would suggest a specific trail
Yeah,
or
two
two.
particular trails.
Motion to amend to pass without, I'm assuming you don't want the black trail.
Either one.
Correct, either of those black trails. But like I said, I support completely everything else. You spoke with the disc golfers, and the other things are youth development.
Choose a copy of the resolution.
Yep.
No, not other
Because I think what she's really wanting to do is to motion and to exclude black trails, I guess.
So motion to amend to exclude the black trails would be your motion. Do we have a second? Seeing as we have no second, I will call it as on the table.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any more questions further for Logan on this option?
I have a comment, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. The chair recognizes Chairman Schleif.
First of all, again, Logan, all the work you've done on this is very much appreciated. The talks you've had with all the different stakeholders, if you will, great work. And I trust that if the black trails go forward, you'll maintain distances from close residences as you have on most of the trails. So I fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then seeing as there's no further questions, I will finish this off by just stating that. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there, Dave. Go ahead. Dave is our Chief of Public Safety, just so we know.
Dave Sager, Chief Public Safety Officer for Washington County. I just want to add a few things, reference the trail safety and our Slinger Fire Department partners. I have yet to engage Chief Kaler in this regard. However, both Chief Kaler, his Assistant Chief Schaefer, as well as the men and women of Slinger Fire Department have provided excellent service to the town of Polk and the Heritage Bike Trail. I will consistently work towards getting together with Chief Kaler. His schedule is quite busy, as is mine, but we will get together to work through that process regarding the equipment needs. It is a very specific operation when dealing with these bike trails. It is, I take it very personally. A colleague of mine recently was significantly injured at a bike trail in Sheboygan several months ago. So these trails are both exciting, fun, enjoyable, but the skill set needed to perform the emergency needs of our constituents as well as our visitors is extraordinary. And they just conducted a training this past Tuesday, and they are very serious and diligent, professional individuals who take that job very seriously. And I appreciate the social capital involved in putting this trail system in place in Washington County. We have an amazing county. This is an amazing county. And of all the public speakers we had here this evening, the majority were from outside of Washington County, coming here to enjoy the amenities that Logan, as well as Jamie Ludovic, who couldn't be here this evening, have done for Washington County. So we should be very proud. The county board should be very proud. I'm very proud to stand here today to be a part of it, but also to partner with Slinger Fire. They do an amazing job. So we will consistently work towards meeting an expectation that everybody in the county deserves and expects. So I just wanted to make sure that you all are aware of that, along with all the other things that you're considering this evening. Thank you. Any questions?
None from me. Anybody else for our safety officer?
Thank you.
But I thank you for that, because actually I was inquiring with our attorney because I did want to make sure that Slinger Fire Department knew that I see you. I'm right. I see you, and I thank you for showing up at all the meetings you guys show up at, and all the involvement you guys have had. I'm well aware of it, and just the way the procedure worked out, I felt like somehow I wanted to recognize that as well. It's extremely important to what we want to do here. Some years ago, we had our parks were part of our levy, and we decided that we were going to peel the park system off the levy. This was about maybe 8 years ago, and have them be self-funding. And that has been a huge challenge to the Parks Department. Something that they've been working on for years. I believe that our parks are a precious resource to this county and to the people who are here. We have to do everything within our power to keep our parks friendly, fun, and open, and utilize them to the best of our ability to make them so that they are self-sustaining, to keep them for future generations. So I'm very proud and very happy for this plan. I'm very happy for the people that worked to make this happen, Tom and Tim in particular with Metro Mountain Biker and the disc golf community, and certainly the Slinger Fire Department. So I really appreciate all the hard work that was put in by Jamie, by Logan, and their staff throughout this whole process. I've been working on this project since I became the chair, and Carol before me worked on it quite a bit. So it's been a long time coming, and I'm happy that we finally resolved to this point. So with that, I guess we will be moving on to, we've already had our motion, we've had our second, so we will now pass resolution. Or, yeah, we got a motion. So we will now signify by saying aye. Aye. And all opposed?
Nay. Opposed.
What's that?
I'm opposed.
Okay. All right. So, you get all that? I got it. Okay. Good. All right. So we shall move on.
So motion passes.
Motion passes 4-1. And hang on, let me dial this up.
That'd be 5-1.
Yeah, that's 5-1. I think.
5-1, I'm sorry. I was counted. There we go. Doing three things at once here. Okay, so moving on to item F, 2024 resolution grant application, surface water planning and aquatic invasive species grant. Logan, you speaking on that, I take it?
I am, yes. Seeking the approval of the resolution to apply for the Wisconsin DNR Surface Water Aquatic Invasive Species Grant Program, Surface Water Planning and Aquatic Invasive Species Prevention. What we're looking to do with these funds is construct a new boat wash facility at Ackerman's Grove County Park. The Little Cedar Lake PRD, this is, something that they have wanted for quite some time now. We do have, obviously with our aquatic invasive species program, we have the signboard out there with the little tools. And as somebody who spends, I don't know how many days on the water a year fishing, this is really important. I can tell you from experience that if you have a pressure washer-based boat wash station at a boat launch, people are going to use it. If you just have some tools sitting there to, pluck the weeds off your trailer, not as many people are going to use it. And a boat wash station is exponentially more effective than hand tools. It can wash away things you can't see. It's important to do it on site so you do not spread aquatic invasive species to the next lake that you go to. So this grant is to help us fund that project. I believe it's a 75-25%. DNR pays 75%, county pays 25%. The Little Cedar Lake PRD has also pledged and provided a letter of support and outlining that they are willing to, they unanimously voted at their last board meeting to contribute $2,500 to this project. So they do support it. I have verbal confirmation that the Tap Yard, Nick Marking, is going to also provide a donation for this project as well. So we have support locally at the park. That is the aquatic invasive species part of this grant. Do you guys want to take questions on that before I describe the planning portion as well? Or do you want me to just go on with the planning?
I think you can go on planning, please.
So, we've begun this water health initiative in the Natural Resources Department, and one of our goals is to begin developing scopes of work for individual lake management plans on our lakes here in Washington County. In 2023, Little Cedar Lake and Big Cedar Lake applied for funding to get lake management plans created. They did not receive funding for that. And so where we're stepping up is we're trying to find ways that we can provide some of the services that are needed in those plans, whether it's shoreline inventories, internal septic reviews, increased work with our aquatic invasive species program, where we can help with some of that in-kind time so that they can either make those plans more achievable financially if the lake associations have to pay for them themselves without the DNR's help, or, we're exploring to see if there's a point where we can get to where we can actually, in fact, write those for them and be recognized by the state. So this grant, the planning grant, is to support that initiative and that work that we plan on doing, throughout 2025. scope creation, exploring, doing some of these data surveys in-house with our own staff. So our match would be in-kind donation for this.
Okay. Before we get discussion started, I'd like to have a motion and a second on this, Rez. Motion by Supervisor Conrad, seconded by Supervisor Pridemore. Okay, discussion. Any questions for Logan on this particular issue?
No, not questions, and I just wanted to say, thank you to Logan for working so strongly with the PRDs. I was recently appointed to both Big Cedar, Little Cedar PRD, and I'm also, a PRD individual myself my whole life. And these, local lake districts, they're volunteer boards, and then the grant writing too, and trying to get the DNR grants. That's all done on individuals' own time as volunteers. So I greatly appreciate the county stepping up too to help more and partner more, because this is part of our quality of life here in Washington County and why individuals live here. And regarding the aquatic invasive species too, the Little Cedar Lake PRD, they do aquatic invasive species handfuls, and that's all volunteer hours too, or they pay for the divers also through that. But it's really truly a big volunteer effort. I've helped with that myself, and so they've kind of single-handedly been trying to tackle aquatic invasive species within the Little Cedar Lake PRD. So the community would truly appreciate some partnership from the county on this.
Thank you. And I agree. Back I was on the Little Cedar PRD and the Big Cedar years ago. As a matter of fact, I brought literature to Jamie regarding this wash system. This was a different wash system, I'm sure, because that was like 7 years ago or 6 years ago. So it was a while back. So I'm happy to see this happening. I'm a big supporter of it, and certainly utilizing our county departments to start helping out these PRDs with their grant writing and stuff like that would be awesome. I think it will really help them to attain the funds from the DNR. And I have been working hard to Supervisor Conrad's point. They, been doing these hand pulls and stuff at Little Cedar. They are literally fighting a losing battle over there, and I'm well aware of that. And they're working very diligent to try and keep it taken care of. So hopefully this helps and this moves us forward, and hopefully this is a huge boon to them. So with that, we have a motion and a second on that. Yep. And okay, yeah, that's right. So all for it, let's signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And it is considered passed. All right. County Conservation AIDS Grant. Logan, you speaking on that?
Yes, I'll keep this one short. We've applied for this multiple years in a row. We've used it to conduct prescribed burns throughout our park system. Internally, we do not have the equipment or fully trained staff to do, safe prescribed burns. So we have worked with a consultant who brings the equipment, partners with us in these burns, and so we can do them throughout some of our natural areas in our park, and this is just a continuation with that. Again, this one's going to be at Ackerman's Grove for the year of 2025.
All right, I'll take a motion in a second on this. Supervisor Krebs, Supervisor Murray is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. All signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passed. Draft, let's see. Item H, Draft Conservation and Heritage Grant Program Framework. Okay, Logan, go ahead.
At this time, I'm just really going to take some questions on this. This was drafted through our conservation department. If you guys have specific questions, Katie Wilson is here who can take those for you. So if you have those, she can come up and speak better to them than I can.
Please invite her to come on up.
Come on up.
Hello, Katie Wilson, the Land Conservation Department within the Natural Resources Department, or Division, I should say.
Okay. Do we have any questions on this framework? We all get through it and take a look at all the grading and scoring and all the rest of that we're doing. Now this is, you might understand, this is just a presentation of the framework, or will we be adopting the framework?
They just proposed to adopt the draft framework, this draft framework. If you like the direction the framework is going, it can be adopted, and we will continue on kind of what is outlined. If it is not adopted, if there's feedback on a different direction the framework should go, then we will go back and redraft it and represent it.
Anything you'd like to add, Supervisor Mary? You're probably the most knowledgeable in this group on this. I did read through the whole thing.
Thank you.
I like the way it is scored out. It makes the most sense. Very, very pleased with it overall. Personally, I think this is the way to go, and I'd like to move forward with it if the rest of the group, the rest of the committee would like to make a motion.
I would make a motion. I would encourage the committee to approve it as presented.
So we have a motion by Carol Mary, seconded by Supervisor Conrath. Discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to say I'd like to encourage this committee also to support it. This really defines out that initial, pilot project with CLCF, and how to move forward. What to measure. What different focuses and things that we should have. And so this is really what we were truly looking for when we initially approved that pilot program grant for that $500,000 awarded to CLCF.
Further discussion? I would also like to add, one of the things that I did like is, first of all, if the land in question, the way it grades out is you get a point system. If the land in question is part of a future sewage district, it would not apply. And then there's a lot of gravity given towards land that are parts of watersheds for local lakes and streams and rivers. So it just really made sense the way it all came together to me. So I appreciated how it was scored out, and hopefully that'll make a good framework for how dollars are allocated in the future. So, hearing no more discussion.
Yeah, I would just like
go
to
ahead.
say too, thank you for all the references that are added in here. That this just wasn't a couple of individuals sitting down. Oh, this sounds good. That sounds good. No, they went to the research. As me as a nurse and advanced practice nurse too. That's what you do. You make it evidence-based. You go to the research and best practices, and that's what was done. So I greatly appreciate that.
Very good. Thank you. So we have a motion on the table by Supervisor Mary, seconded by Supervisor Conrad, to pass the framework of this through. So all signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And it passes through. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Conversion fees. Let me get this. Resolution authorizing the deposit and transfer of agricultural conversion fees from the general fund to the Natural Resources Department for land preservation efforts. Care to elaborate, Mr. Logan?
So this is the funding that funds the Conservation and Heritage Grant Program framework. This funding was part of a larger item on the executive committee last night, which was the budget amendment, and they passed that full budget amendment, which included the funding for the program, and so that is this resolution.
Supervisor Mary.
Accept as presented.
So it's a motion to approve. All right, so Supervisor Mary, motion to approve.
Did we have the original motion for discussion?
We're doing it now. We didn't actually have discussion. He just made his presentation. And it's seconded by Supervisor Pridemore. Okay, discussion?
And within this proposal too, you speak of an ability to sustain this program moving forward after that initial grant to CSCF?
Yeah, so this is meant to be a sustainable program where they use the conversion fees to fund it.
So did you get it? You understood it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Making sure that everybody
Make sure.
else here understands it, and if
Thank you.
anybody listening, also, this will, not just, it goes beyond that, initial pilot program of CSCF, but makes it a sustainable program and annual budget.
Yep, it is intended to be a sustainable program year after year by using the conversion fees to fund it.
Great. Okay.
That's some smart
Any more further discussion? Hearing none. All for this signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion passes unanimously. Next meeting of the Land Use and Planning Committee will be Thursday, November 22nd, 2024 at 4:30 right here. I hereby call this